Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LandFans Show. I'm Kendall Lejeune, and our guest today is David Olds. David Olds is a seasoned real estate investor and founder of Easy REI Closings, a nationwide virtual transaction coordination company that helps investors and wholesalers streamline the closing process and handle complex title issues. With over 2 decades of experience, David went from purchasing his first foreclosure to building a multi-million dollar rental portfolio. His mission is to help empower real estate professionals to close more deals, generate more revenue, and turn transaction coordination into a profit center. David is widely recognized as an innovator in real estate investing and a leader in helping others succeed. David, thanks so much for joining us. How are you today?
Kendall, doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure to be here and very special to be on your first live coming back from the summer. So super excited to come in and just add as much value as I can. And I will do everything I can, answer your questions as best I can and make sure that we get everybody the right answers.
I'm so excited to have you back on, David. It's no secret that your last interview, your last episode with us was one of the most highly listened to episodes, and I'm still getting people messaging me about different things that were said in that episode. And so I'm so excited to have you on and to hear a little bit from your perspective on the transaction coordination side about the state of the market for land in 2025.
Yeah.
So, in your experience, I know we chatted a little bit earlier before the show about how people have noticed that land is maybe a little bit slower to move in this
Yeah.
current market. And so, in your experience, when the market slows down like this, what's the first place investors start leaking money or losing deals when it comes
Yeah.
to getting those deals across the finish line?
Yeah. I would say a lot of times, because I've been doing this since 2002, which is a ridiculous amount of time, I feel like I've been through a couple of different market cycles. And let me just say this, all market cycles are good. No matter whether we're up or down, it's always a good time to be a real estate investor. Sometimes, though, the great thing about us is as investors, we can pivot and we're very light on our feet. Yeah, for sure, land is down a little bit, but let's think about why. Right. So somebody who's going to buy an infill lot or maybe 10 acres and subdivide it. Well, think about it from their position. Okay, great. I'm going to buy this land. I'm going to build properties on it or houses on it, structures or whatever they're going to do. And then I'm going to sell that to an end user. Can that end user, where is that market? Because that's ultimately the end, right? We always want to think starting with the end in mind. That might be something to consider. Our builders, whether it's tract builders or independent small home builders, custom builders, are they slowing down because they're worried that interest rates are keeping people from buying properties, right? So that's a consideration. I think that's going to account for a little bit of it. But ultimately, think about this. We are 4 million housing units short, right? So housing is going to continue. It's People still have to build houses. I drove by two brand new subdivisions that were breaking ground here in Chattanooga just this past weekend. There's always opportunity. We just have to make sure that we're pricing accordingly, judging by where the market's at on the up and down cycle. But lots of opportunity here. Maybe it's a property that we can buy with no money down and owner financing and put on a 5-year term, right? Because when you want to buy is when the market is down. I've been doing this for a long time, Kendall, and I get on these podcasts or I go on stage and I'm like, listen, we bought 87 properties over the course of 3 years. And people are like, yeah, if I could go back in time, I'd buy then too. Listen, we thought the world was coming to an end in 2010. So just settle down over there. Okay. But we knew that we always want to be buying and accumulating real estate. Maybe we look at the strategy and see, is there another way that we can do this? Maybe I can buy it on owner financing and wrap some financing around it. Maybe I can just buy it and make a small payment and hold this property till the market shifts because the market will shift. And one thing that we're seeing is market cycles used to be 5 to 7 years, and now they're getting a lot more compact. They're getting a lot more compressed because I think the government has figured out that they understand now how to turn the levers on interest rates, right? So that they can, ideally, they're trying to keep it within some parameters and not have these massive ups and downs. So yeah, that's what I would say for sure. It's slowed down just a little bit, but let's look at some other things. What else can we be doing?
Yeah, and that's a really fantastic point. I hear so many people really focusing on, I need to get more deals, so I need to really focus on the sales piece of things, or I really need to focus on the lead generation or the marketing. But we
Sure.
also see where people work really hard for those deals and then they fall apart at the closing table, which kind of adds insult to injury, right? So,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit, maybe share a story
Yeah.
about how maybe it was a deal that nearly fell apart and that it
Yeah.
was saved through transaction coordination?
Yeah, literally, that's every day for us. That's just a Tuesday. But let me tell you this, I get it, the appeal for land, right? I know you talk about it. We've talked about this a lot. Land, I'm buying from somebody, they don't have emotional attachment, right? There's no knickknacks above the fireplace. So there's just, it's easier for people to part with it, which is great. Which all 100% true. All the land I've sold in my life when I was wholesaling, same thing. When I was in Orlando, October of last year, we used to own a title company. So I was there for the Alta convention, which is the American Land and Title Association. And I was sitting in a seminar by First American Title Insurance, which is the largest underwriter of title insurance. And without prompting, they were just talking. And you know what segment of the real estate market they said was the most difficult, that had the most title issues? I'll give you a guess. What do you think it is?
Maybe land?
Land. But my head, I was taking notes, my head shot up so fast. I'm like, oh. And because let's think about it, land does sit around for a long time, passes from person, people don't pay taxes on it. It gets taken back in a tax auction, then it's sold again. And land has more title issues than any other segment of the real estate market. Right. Because maybe the daddy had it and then daddy died and it was in daddy's name. And for 20 years before one of the kids decided they want to do something with it. Now we're cleaning it up and figuring, oh, daddy's will was never, his estate was never probated and can't even put our hands on a death certificate anymore. And an obituary, someone's going to have to go to their library and get on the microfiche, right? There are just so many problems. Or people let it stack up with liens or they use it for collateral. Land is the hardest. It's the easiest transaction and some of the smallest, but it can have the most number of title issues, right? And one person dies and it goes to the next person, and now maybe there was five heirs and three of them are dead, so now you're dealing with their 14 kids. There's just a lot of moving parts. And when we're scaling these businesses and we're trying to grow and systematize it, and again, even it out so it becomes more predictable, you can really get stuck in the quicksand on some of these deals, right? Maybe it's somebody in jail or somebody's overseas, or it just happens all the time where all of the things that you might find in single family, you find a lot of it in land. And because we think it's in our brain, oh, it's just land. How bad could it be? This is a simple business, Kendall, right? We understand that, but people make it complicated and they sometimes foul some things up. Everything I always say is like the scales of justice, right? Hey, it's a great asset class. It is true. People are willing to part with it. They're willing, you can make some great spreads. But with that, on the other side, you're sometimes dealing with some title issues.
You know what creatives crave but rarely find? A place where the craft, not the clout, comes first. Where one pause in a performance can mean more than 1,000 words. That's why the Effect Experience Group is our gathering space for artists, performers, and creative directors who design for goosebumps. Inside, it's artists telling their truth about their obsessions, moments pulled apart to show why they move us, and creative provocations that sharpen the edge of your own craft. This is a space for the ones who live to make people feel, the ones obsessed enough to know that a single breath held at the right time can change everything. Step into the circle at effectexperiencegroup.com. That's effectexperiencegroup.com. See you inside.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Definitely a double-edged sword. So,
Yeah,
can you drill in a little bit and tell us what are some of those silent deal killers that you've
sure.
seen that
Yeah.
investors don't really catch until it's too late?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones that we see a lot, and when I was actively wholesaling in 28 markets across the country, all the time, especially land is so commonly taken back in tax sales. So when you're looking in prop stream and you tax deed, sheriff's deed, some weird deed that doesn't say warranty deed or general warranty deed, you should immediately perk up and go, "Oh, I need to figure out what this is." Because different from a foreclosure, when something is taken back by the city, county, municipality, state, whoever it is for non-paid taxes, or even worse, an IRS lien, then when that property gets resold, let's just say I have a piece of property, I don't pay my taxes on it, you buy it at the tax sale. You're like, great, I got this piece of land for pennies on the dollar. I'm going to go out and sell this and I'm going to make $1 million. The person you're selling it to, also, let's think ahead. This is somebody who's going to probably get a loan, build a house on it, and then they're going to sell it to somebody who's getting a loan. Those banks are going to require that land being used as collateral, and eventually that bank that's going to use the house as collateral, that it has clear title. But something that was purchased previously on a tax deed does not have clear title. The underwriters for title companies, First American, Old Republic, WFG, Old Chicago, like that is not clear title. They do not accept the way that cities do tax deed sales. Just don't. It's not like a foreclosure. So what does that mean exactly? Let's talk about what a title company is. Title company is an insurance business. They're saying that, hey, we are going to stand behind this piece of property if we're going to give title insurance to it. And we're going to say that this land is going to be passed unencumbered. Just fancy word with no strings attached, right? No trailing problems that are going to come out of the woodwork later. And a tax sale by its nature, if I lost it and I was married or whatever, like it's not wiping me out. There's still a chance that I could come back and have some kind of a claim to that. Is that practical? Not really, but title companies are not in the business of taking risk. They don't take unnecessary risk. So just, you don't have to understand all that. Just understand that having a tax deed does not give you clear title. So there are things you can do to fix that. So it's great if you can buy a $30,000 lot for $2,000 for the back taxes on it. But understand that you're not going to sell it for 30,000. You might sell it for eight. You're going to have to sell it at a discount because it doesn't have clear title. It's like a salvage title on a car. Yeah, it's your car, but no bank is going to lend on it, right? Because maybe there's some weird heir that's going to come out of the woodwork and say, after you've built your $200,000 house on it, hey, that was my property. It wasn't properly taken back. Yeah, some things that you can do there. You can go and have a title search done. And let's just say I was the only owner. You could track me down and go, hey, I hate that you lost your property 123 Main Street in the tax sale. If you're willing to sign a document, I'd love to give you $500 cash. Maybe a quit claim deed that does clear me off. And now the title company will give clear title. Maybe if it's more complicated than that, you could do a suit for quiet title, right? Which just means I'm going to have to get an attorney and go through a legal process. That's 90 to 180 days, depending upon where you're at. So again, if I can buy it for 2,000, pay an attorney $3,000 or $4,000 to do this, and I can sit and hold it. When it's done, now I have clear title. Now it's worth 30,000. So there are ways that we can mend the break in the title, but none of those are a guarantee. So here's the thing: when you're looking at a property, whether it's a house, a storage unit, an apartment building, or a piece of land, is if I can't get a general warranty deed, which is the best, the granddaddy of all deeds, every deed lower that I get, from special warranty down to sheriff's deed or whatever it is, there's 8 or 10 wacky different types of deeds. Like the lower I go, the lower my price should be going. Because when I get all the way down to a quit claim deed or a tax deed, I'm taking a lot of risk, right? Because that deed is not saying that somebody can't come back out of the woodwork 5 years from now and pull this property back. So I hope
Yeah,
that makes sense. I know that was probably a lot of complicated stuff, and I was trying not to get too in the weeds there, but yeah.
no, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. So, in your experience in dealing with land investors and seeing dozens and dozens of these deals close, can
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about where do you see most land investors underestimate the follow-up or the coordination when it comes to getting these deals over the finish line?
Sure. It's the same in all types of deals. I was talking to somebody today on a Zoom, and I said, "Hey, tell me about the worst deal you've ever done. Think about you tell me. Let's ask you. I'm sure you can think of a deal that's been a challenge, right? Let's just be polite. Okay, let me ask you this. The day they signed the contract, did you know that it was going to be a mess?
No, not
Okay.
as big of a mess. Not as big
Right.
of a mess.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing that I hear all the time. David, I'll send you a deal. The next bad deal I have, I'll send to you. I'm like, that's great. I would love to help you. Here's the problem. 99% of the time, 95, like 95% of the time, we think every deal is going to be great because we're optimists and we're investors, right? You never know what's behind the curtain, right? Until you take a peek. And so that is a very common mistake. Like we all think they're going to go great. And then we start digging in, right? So the other day, We got one of our clients sent a file over. Great. We get 30 or 40 of them every single day. And we're like, okay, great. Just buying it, easy peasy. It's going to be a great deal. And our coordinator jumps on the phone and starts talking to Mrs. Smith, right? And lo and behold, this thing's in foreclosure and going to the foreclosure sale in 72 hours. Like our client had no idea. He signed that thing up thinking this is going to be the greatest easy deal ever. Nobody ever thinks a deal is going to go sideways until it does. And now you're stuck. Now you're in the quicksand. So that deal that maybe was going to be a $70,000 deal, which this foreclosure was 72,000, was what they profited. Now you're in the mess. And now you've got to deal with it. And if you don't have somebody that does this every day and understands, maybe you work your way through it, maybe you don't. Because I know we talked about this last time, contracts have a 50% fallout rate. Land is actually probably a little bit higher. So 50-50 that you're going to close on this deal for $70,000 or $72,000. But you had no idea. Like when we signed it up, we thought, oh, this is going to be fantastic, another great deal. So that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that all investors make. And not that we have ESP, like we wouldn't know, but the mistake is not having somebody on your team that understands how to navigate through these problems. The things that used to bring me to my knees, my coordinators are like, oh, yeah, we did that the other day. That's no big deal. That's easy. Just go get your next deal. I'll handle this. You know what I mean? So think
Wow.
about that for all the people that are watching this live, and if you're watching this on a recording, if you're doing deals, right? And I ask people this all the time, and it's always the same answer. That deal, how much time did you spend on it? I don't know. Felt like weeks. Awesome. How many other deals, if you had that time back, do you think you could have gotten? Right. Three, four, five, six more deals. If your average deal is $10,000, $15,000, how much money did that cost you? So it's the opportunity cost that you're losing by not having somebody else who does this all the time. Me trying to do it. It's like me going out. I'm the least car. Like I can sit in the car seat, the driver's seat, and I know where to take it to get my oil changed. But if I had to open the hood of my Grand Wagoneer and look at that engine and go, I don't even know where to put in wiper fluid at this point anymore with these cars. That's what you're doing when you start digging underneath and around in some of these files. And the other thing that it used to drive me crazy because I listened to the coaches and the gurus and the people who wrote the books and like, just go find an investor friendly title company. I'm like, I got it. I'm good. I'm going to follow these directions. I did. I went to the investor friendly title company and I didn't realize what was happening, right? It's like I was just their unpaid assistant. Every time they had a problem, they kicked it back to me, right? It was all of a sudden, oh, okay, I'm going to figure out what this is, right? And then I would get an answer and I would send it back to the title company. I'm like, man, my title company's on it. They're finding all the problems, but they were kicking it back to me. And I was stopping my day and going and figuring out, geez, where do I find a death certificate? Okay, I need the obituary. And now I'm calling around doing all these things. So this was the investor friendly title company, but like all they were doing was just giving me work to do. And I thought that was normal. I'm like, oh, I've got a title company that's helping me and they're going to close my deals. At least they took my deal. Some other people wouldn't even do it. They're like, we don't deal with investors. And what I realized is that wasn't my job. My job was to go talk to sellers, talk to buyers, do effective marketing to get the deal. And I didn't realize there was a thing that was called a transaction coordinator. And once I did, my God, it was a like life changer. So yeah, long answer for
Yeah.
that question.
No, that's fantastic. And just I'm sure anyone who has done deals at volume, just listening to that, we start like your skin starts crawling because you've been there where like how many times I've looked back at some of my email threads. I was clearing out my email the other day, and sometimes there could be 40 emails from one deal on one day back and forth with the title company. And so
Yeah,
when you start multiplying that times if you have two deals,
yeah.
three deals, five deals, like
This is why you can't get past 3 or 4 because now your whole day just becomes this stuff. So
exactly,
anything,
exactly.
you're juggling one ball. Okay, I don't love it, but now throw in two. Now put in four. Your
And good
business
luck.
comes to a grinding halt. And what I found for me, because I was too stupid, I was so smart, I'm going to do everything myself. I was that guy. Like I was working 14, 15 hours a day. It literally ruined a marriage because all this was all I was doing. I was doing this 6 days a week. And on Sundays, I was working 8 hours. I was working half a day for family time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will 100% just, it's death by a thousand paper cuts.
1,000%. And when you consider the fact that you're dealing with, if you're doing multiple deals, you're dealing with all of that, it's just
Mhm.
problem after problem because
Yeah.
that is the nature of solving title problems. It's problem solving. So you're doing all of this. And how do you think that's going to be affecting how you show up on sales calls? Do you like when you're talking to sellers and things like
Yeah.
that? So it really is, it's huge. Now, you mentioned about you had this epiphany when you found out about a transaction coordinator. So,
Mhm.
can you talk a little bit about talk to someone who's never worked with a transaction coordination service
Yeah.
before? Exactly
Yeah.
what will it take off of their plate?
Yeah. Everything. Literally, like it's wild, man. Once I discovered it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not involved in this all the time. It feels like you're shackled, and you mentioned it before. You're dealing with all these things. It's not, I don't even want to say it's not even like the calls you're going to miss. You're literally juggling dynamite that's on fire, like the wick, psst, like it's going. And you're just going to drop one. It's going to happen and the deal's going to die. And you're going to be like, oh, that happens sometimes, but at least I have these other four going. Right. Oh, sometimes you start making excuses like, oh, that was just going to die, or I couldn't get it closed. Or worse, you bring in somebody and you trust somebody who is not a good coordinator and they're messing up and you're just like, oh, Penelope said this one couldn't close. Let's do more marketing. Let's ramp up our marketing so we can do more deals because 60% of my deals are falling apart. But yeah, once I got Heather, who's now my COO, I think you've met her, like all of a sudden, like my business started going just up and to the right because here's what happened. Now I'm focused on doing the stuff that I love every day. The thing, like, think about this for everybody who's listening. When your feet hit the ground, what part of the business jazzes you up? What gets you excited? What was the reason you got into this business? It was to talk to sellers and make deals and go, oh my God, I got this thing, this land at this amazing price, and I'm going to make 10, 20, 30, 40, $100,000 on it. Awesome. And you talk to the buyer, and the minute you sign that contract, you just feel the adrenaline running through your veins.
Yeah.
And then it starts. And then it starts. Let me see if I can find a title company in Poughkeepsie that wants to deal with an assignment. And then sometimes you send it to them, and then 2 weeks later, like, oh, our underwriter said we can't do this. We don't do assignments. Or you send it to them, and they look and go, oh, today's what? The 4th, September 4th. Oh, this closes on September 30th. And I'm telling you what they do. It goes right over here. And on the 20th, they're going to go, oh, I need to do a search on this property because it's supposed to close in 10 days. Now they discover some wacky title issue. Oh, Kendall, there's dead people. Yeah, you're here. Take this back. You're going to have the seller probate this. Yeah. Now what? You're like,
Yeah,
oh, another deal died. They were right. 50% of the deals
exactly.
died. Whereas when I had a transaction coordinator, I would get my contract and I'd be like, here you go, Heather. You're it. I'm out. I'm going to get my next deal. And because she loves this kind of work, right? She's, oh, okay, great. Hey, Mrs. Smith, you're working on this deal with David over at 123 Main Street. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be your point of contact from here all the way to closing. I'm out, right? I don't even want to look at this unless there's a problem. Great. So Heather's like, okay, great. 123 Main Street, I'm going to be your point of contact. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I need to ask you some questions for the title company so I can get this thing closed just as quick as possible, right? Because they all want to get paid. Everybody wants to get paid. That's why we're selling something, right? And then now she's asking all the questions that the title company waits 10 days before closing to ask. Hey, so who else is on title? Is there anybody else? How did you get the property? Did you inherit it? Or, oh, you inherited it. Great. Whole new set of questions, right? Tell me who you inherited it from. Were there any other heirs? Was there a will, right? Or is this property in foreclosure? Why, yes, it is. Oh, when does it go to foreclosure? 72 hours. She's texting me, David, you big dummy, you didn't ask about foreclosure, right? Or, hey, are you in bankruptcy? Is anybody on title in bankruptcy? Right? Oh, are there tenants? Or is there anybody you're renting a mobile home on the land or something? All of these questions that I never in a million years thought to ask. And this is what our coordinators do now after 8,000 files. Like they know your worst day is just a Tuesday or a Thursday to us. So what happened was my business is growing because I was spending time doing better marketing, right? And training my team and selling deals. And now my attention was on that, right? Because attention is a finite thing, right? There's only 24 hours in a day. Math and science tell us this. We can't fake that, right? It's not fake news. So you can only dedicate to so much stuff. And once I got laser focused, like now my business is growing. And then, Kendall, I remember this day. I'm sitting at my desk and I'm on my phone, like Bank of America app. what is this $28,000 deposited into our account? That's weird. I lean my head, hey, Heather, did we close a deal and get wired money? She's, yeah, this morning. I'm like, was it like 28,000? She's like, yeah, $28,230. Okay, you're smart. I get it. What was that from? Oh, that was that deal from 3 weeks ago. Oh, shoot, I forgot about that deal. That's what
Uh,
this is. That's how freeing that is. And all of a sudden, checks are just dropping into your account like that because I'm focused on the fun things, the things that jazz me up, right? Talking to people and doing marketing and doing that, not paperwork. It's the worst.
Yeah, man, I can't tell you, David, the number of people that I've talked to, that I've worked with, that they spend so much time in getting their sales skill set like razor sharp,
Yeah.
and they're really fantastic at it. But then by the time they deal with all of these transaction coordination problems and issues, like there's just no desire, will to live, let alone get on calls and put that skill set to use. And
Because
I
it's not
mean,
our
it's
personality. Like you
exactly,
have to,
exactly.
like we've all, you should have, if everybody here, you should take the disc test. Typically, we're at the top, we're investors, we're ID or DI, because we're chatty and we like to do stuff. That is not the same as the people on the bottom who are very detail oriented. Like most
Yeah.
investors, me, our accountant hates us. We drive our bookkeeper crazy. The attorney's like, when are you going to sign those docs? We're like, we're terrible at it. Why do you think you'd be good at paper transaction coordination?
So true.
I'm good at problem solving, and I can solve title problems with the best of them, but I don't want to sit there and do the paperwork. My God,
So
that
true.
feels like the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I
Like we're
totally
just
get.
not built for that. That's not our attribute. That's not the thing that makes us special. It's just not.
Exactly. Now, if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I need to stay in my lane and wear the
Yes.
right hats and I can outsource things. What does your
Sure.
team do differently from,
Yeah.
let's say, a virtual assistant or an internal
Sure.
assistant that someone might
Yeah.
have?
Yeah. There are lots of things you should outsource. And again, I was very slow to come to the table when it come to outsourcing. I remember my brother's like, we can get VAs to do marketing and we can do all these things. We can get a bookkeeper. I'm like, oh, I can do it. It's fine. You should not be doing your own bookkeeping. You should not be doing your accounting. You shouldn't be doing your own deeds. You should not be operating on your leg. Not even a surgeon operates on their own leg. Do the things that you're good at, right? Those things that are your attributes, the things that make you special. And there's everybody who's listening to this. There's something that makes us special. Some of us are good at marketing, and maybe it's acquisitions. For me, it was Dispo, right? That's my thing. I love selling deals, but should not be spending the next 6 months of my life trying to learn how Google PPC works. That's dumb. You also should not be trying to figure out how do I get somebody in prison to sign a deed? How do I do that? What do I do when my seller is in Okinawa, Japan? What do I do? Right? Like, how long are you going to spend trying to figure that out? My newest coordinator can tell you, oh, that's no problem. If they're overseas, I'm going to make sure that I have the documents emailed over. I'm going to give them very clear instructions to print those out. They're going to have to make an appointment at the consulate or local embassy, and they're going to go in there and make sure that they sign the exact documents I send them because we've had people who get in there and the embassy says, oh no, sign these documents. They're our official US government and they're the wrong documents. And we got to do the whole process all over again. Or if there's somebody in prison, every single one of our coordinators know, oh, okay, great. There's somebody at the prison who handles these types of things. Usually they're in the warden's office, and I'm going to call them and explain to them that inmate number 22567, whatever, or whoever their name is, hey, we've got some documents to sign. Who's the notary on staff that I can send these to, and when can we get them signed and FedEx back? Like this is just the stuff that we do every single day. Or, hey, this person died 10 years ago and we need an original copy of the birth certificate. Great. What do you do? My coordinators will go, oh, hey, that's great. Let's pull up the obituary. Let's see where they were interred or what funeral home handled it. And I'm just going to have the family member call the funeral home because all funeral homes have to keep a copy of the death certificate on file. Great.
Mm.
Those are problems that we solve in a minute, which somebody will spend 2 days trying to sort out and maybe not figure it out. And maybe it's that $40,000 deal, Kendall.
You know what we don't miss? Fixing title typos at midnight. Calling the seller's cousin again for one more signature. Wondering who dropped the ball this time.
That's where Easy REI Closings comes in, our go-to transaction coordination service. You send the signed contract, they handle the messy middle. The next time the deal's on your mind is when you're cashing the check. And when you try them through starttc.com, we'll send you our smooth closing starter kit, a toolkit that makes you look like you've done 100 deals, even if you're on deal number 1. From a seller-friendly roadmap and contract walkthroughs to tracking tools and mini trainings, it's the exact setup we use to close confidently, without chasing signatures or second-guessing the process. Right now, you can get $1,000 off the setup fee when you sign up through our link. StartTC.com. Close smarter, sleep better. Gosh, yeah, that is a fantastic point. Fantastic. So, for people that are listening to this, what's, let's say, one part of your coordination system or process that an investor can copy or use to tighten up processes for themselves?
Sure. Yeah, we have a ton of free resources. I will get for you, we've got an acquisitions checklist. I can actually send it to you when we're done here that we give away to all of our clients. It's, hey, here's a page of some questions that you just might want to ask. Not that it's going to solve all of your problems, but it's going to give you information. It's going to tell you, hey, maybe I would have known this thing was going to foreclosure in 72 hours because that's important, right? Or maybe I'm going to know that this property's in bankruptcy and I need to figure out how to get it removed from the bankruptcy. Because what could happen? Maybe I know it's going to, or I should know, or maybe I don't know, right? That it's going to take 6 weeks to get this thing closed, but I find a buyer tomorrow. And my buyer's all excited, and I'm all excited, or my dispo person's excited, and we're like, yeah, Kendall, we'll close on this thing in 5 days. And then I send it all over to the title company and they're like, bro, you got problems. This thing is not closing in 5 days. And now I've got a contract with my buyer that expires in 5 days. And maybe now he's mad or she's mad and they're not going to wait. So these are just questions that are not only going to help you with timing, right? But these are questions where like, hey, where did you get this property? Oh, tax deed. Because this happens a lot in coaching and just getting on calls and stuff like this. I've talked to people like, and somebody bought it in a tax deed and the investor didn't know, and they offered like it was a regular house with they could get a clear title on it. And the guy who bought it at the tax deed, I bought this thing for $8,000 and this idiot just offered me 80. Great. But the deal's never going to close. It's never going to
Right.
close. And you didn't know that. So now you're out there running all over town trying to sell this deal and you find a buyer because your buyer doesn't have prop stream and he doesn't know to look. And now all of you are at the title company going, when's this thing going to close? And the title company's like, oh, yeah, this is a tax deed sale. You can close it on a quick claim deed, but we can't give you title insurance. And your buyer's like, was going to build a $400,000 house on there. No, sir, you are not. You are not, because your community bank that funds your builder loan is not going to loan on it because you don't have clear title. So how much time did you waste running around on a deal that you thought you had that you were going to make a bunch of money on because you didn't
Oof.
expect, right?
Yeah, that's huge. Thank you so much for that acquisition checklist. We'll definitely put links to
Yeah,
that in show notes.
yeah.
Now, how do you track performance? What is there, like, what type of metric or sign do you look
So
for
many.
to show that a deal might be slipping?
Yeah. So, Jasmine, I'll get you that. I'll get it to Kendall. Maybe he can drop it in the group. So, for us, my partner, she's amazing. She is the other side of the brain. She is my COO. And we've built out a custom CRM for our coordinators to handle your deals. And there is tracking and KPIs all along the way. Like we know from how long, from the minute you submit it to how long it's assigned to a coordinator, how long from that coordinator to talking to your seller, how long once we've gathered up all the information from the seller, it sits until we're waiting on your buyer, how long from there till the title company. Like we're tracking those KPIs all the way along. But we're also looking at things like what was their talk time. Actually, all of our coordinators, they're audited weekly. They're audited as individuals and then also as a team. So there's a lot of competition with them. They've got this little
Wow.
goat that gets passed back and forth between the teams based on whoever wins. Yeah, we're tracking almost every single thing, auditing to make sure that notes are up to date and that EMD is collected and that it's noted on our CRM, our platform, and then there's a side for our clients to come in and look and see all of that type of stuff. Man, just so many different ways. But what was really important, right? The thing that was most important to me, because I was a wholesaler for 13 years, right? So everything that I looked at when Heather and I were building this company was from your point of view, right? The client, because I was the first client. So my thought process was, how do I know this person's working? For how do I know they're working for me? Because it takes a lot for me to trust somebody to do my deal. So I expect that you're going to have trust issues with me. Okay, great. Let's create this platform where first off, you can log in anytime, day or night. If you wake up on Tuesday at 2 a.m. and you're like, what's going on with 123 Main Street? Boom, pull it up. Oh, great. Here's all the notes. Perfect. Okay. It's dated, timed. Claudia called, talked to the seller, got the final documents, just waiting on title search, and then we're ready to close, right? So you can see in real time, complete transparency of what we're doing. You can see everything we've collected, who we're talked to. Sometimes it's 40, 50 documents for a particular file. So that was the first thing.
Which
The
is
second,
huge. That's huge,
oh,
David, because I know
dude,
so many
it's
people that are like, I like the idea of a transaction coordinator. I have control issues. I have to have my finger on everything. I have to know what's
yeah.
happening at all times. This is a portal that
Which,
allows you to
I
see
mean,
that.
part of that is healthy. Also, part of that is you're never going to scale if you touch every single thing. And I've got clients. I've got some dude we barely talk to. They're just like, here's the deal. Let me know when it's ready to close. And we've got some people that call our coordinator 6 times a day. And we're like, and that usually wanes off a little bit after a couple of weeks. But yeah, if you're doing that, you're never going to run the rest of your business. So knowing that, I said, okay, how do I know? How do I know the coordinator is going to give a crap about this deal? So we made part of their pay, their salary, like it's very incentivized, right? So that they are driven not only because they care and we have a great culture and they're actually amazing, but like they get paid based off their close rate. So they're
Mm.
everything we do is geared around making sure that we have just world class 11 out of 10 customer service. And yeah, and there's competitions in the quarter, the person with the highest close rate, meaning the number of contracts that come in, right? They have the highest close rate, number of deals closed, fastest closing, all of these things. Like we gamified it for our coordinators and they are very competitive. They're not salespeople, but they are very competitive and proud to be the one to win in those categories. So every quarter is like a little Olympics for us. So we just do things to try to keep it fun.
Yeah, I love that. I think that because I got started in wholesaling too, and so we share that. And one of the very first lessons, I think if we sat down and said, okay, write the top 10 things that you learn in your first year of wholesaling. One of
Yeah.
those things for me would be no one's going to care about your deal as much as you do. And so I
Correct.
love hearing that you do incentivize the team because it
Yeah.
sounds like they really do care with
Oh,
with the
they're
structure
so
and the
smart.
culture that you've built.
I used to think I was good at this stuff, and I was for a long time. Like, I had investors from all over the country that would call me, like, "Hey, how do you do this?" I'm like, "This is how you do it." Of course, right? Because I'm so smart and been doing this for 20 years. But our office is a bunch of cubicles. I guess they're 6 foot cubicles or 5.5 foot. And sometimes I'll just be standing there talking to somebody, and I can hear them like around the corner, out of the corner of my ear, and I'm like, "Oh."
Mm.
Oh, that's a pretty good. Oh, yeah, that's pretty smart. I don't know if I would have thought of that because this is all they do. And these
Yeah,
aren't our coordinators. Don't be fooled by there are some small coordinators out there, some regional. Most people are trying to outsource it to a VA, which is the worst. Don't ever do that. You're better off doing it yourself. But there are a couple people that I know there's a gal in Texas, very nice girl, but she's got 3 coordinators that work for her and they work out of their house. So they're at home watching Breaking Bad or doing the laundry and they're leaning over the laundry machine talking. And that's not what you want. You're
right,
trusting
right.
somebody to handle your $40,000, $50,000 deal. Like our coordinators are in the office from 8:30 to 5:30. I bet you there's a girl that's still there now. Abby works late every single night because she deals with a lot of our West Coast people. But you want somebody that's professional, right? That's not paid $15 an hour. Like our people are well paid. And that's why they care about your deals and they're making sure that they're getting closed.
Hey there, land fans. If you're enjoying this episode and would like to see more episodes like this, please be sure to let us know by liking and subscribing below.
That's fantastic. Shifting gears a little bit,
Yeah.
David, I would love to hear your perspective on this because there's a lot of talk right now in the real
Mhm.
estate industry about this topic. But a lot of people are saying wholesale as we know it is dead. Double
Yeah,
closing as we know it is dead. Can you
Hmm.
talk a little bit about, do you guys handle
Yeah,
wholesaling, double closing? What
sure,
are some of the trends you're seeing? And do you,
sure.
like, if someone does that type of deal structure, do you
Yeah.
work with those people?
Yeah. So again, we talked about when we were starting the company, we wanted to have a portal. We wanted to make sure our coordinators are incentivized and all of them are certified. And when we say certified coordinator, it takes 2 to 3 months. They literally apprentice under one of our team leads when they come in and they have to pass a pretty tough test. So that's what a certified TC is. But the other thing was, I'm like, okay, I don't want to be the TC for people in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama. If you come to me and you're normally working in Virginia, what if you get a deal next week in Colorado? Right. So very is very important for us from day one to say, hey, we are going to operate in all 50 states. And that's not easy. There are a lot of weird laws out there. There are a lot of just things are just different in every single state. And here's something I'd love to give to your people. We compiled and we just updated it this week. It's called the War on Wholesaling, and it's every single law in the country, state by state, exactly what it says, because there's so much misinformation out there and people who get on YouTube and they're like, "Oh, the sky is falling. Georgia passed a new law or something," right? So if you go to the War on Wholesaling, it's a free report. It's yours, no cost. And like I said, it was just updated this week. And it's every single state by state, what the law is, what it really means, and what the strategy is that you can use to still operate in that state. But back to your question, is
Wow.
wholesaling dead? Absolutely not. We are seeing average files per client actually go up. So our clients are actually doing more business than they were this time last year. Assignment fees are honestly through the roof. Mm,
Wow.
So yes, they are enacting laws. Why? Because here's the great thing about wholesaling. Man, it's the great equalizer. Real estate is amazing. You can make so much money. It doesn't matter if you're short, tall, fat, skinny, blue, white, purple, broke, rich, doesn't matter. You can come into this and make so much money. That's the great news. You know what the bad news, Kendall, is? Wholesaling is very easy to get into, and people who are unscrupulous and shitheads, excuse me, can come into this business and take advantage of people. And those are the people that are making it bad for us. So yeah, states are definitely enacting laws, but you can still operate. You just have to operate ethically. Maybe you have to change a couple words in your contract to comply with what the newest laws are. Maybe there are some places where double closing is the answer, right? Not only do we operate in every state, that was important, but we needed to make sure that our coordinators were well versed in every single type of transaction, right? Whether it's an assignment or a sub-to or an ovation or an installment method or contract for deed or rent, whatever it was. Our coordinators understand all of those things so that when they jump on the phone with you, they can talk turkey. Like they can talk the business and they can talk it from the title side. So, yes, we see all of those things. Yep, double closes, no problem. Do we have funding sources for our clients? Sure. We have resources, probably just like you, everything that we can do to set our people up for success. As far as mix of deal types, of the 8,000 transactions we've done, a little over 40% are just straight assignments. Close to
Wow.
40%, yeah, close to 40% is novations because we do a lot of single family properties. And then the rest is a mix between buy and hold, sub-to, creative, that type of stuff. We do a lot of also work behind the scenes for some hard money lenders where we do a lot of their paperwork and doc prep. And then we also do a ton of work for some massive note buyers where we're handling their note transfers. So our coordinators are pretty well versed. When you hire us, you're bringing all of that experience to bear, right? Because you may have Claudia for your transaction coordinator, but you have some weird deal in Indianapolis. Like literally, she can stand up and go, "Hey, who just did that foreclosure in Indianapolis 2 weeks ago? Great. Hey, come over here. I got a couple questions for you." So you have that combined knowledge of 25 people in office, right? Because it's not Zoom, it's not some VA. Like these are people in the office sitting around the table at lunchtime every single day. And this is where you get that collective kind of hive mind.
Hey, land fans! Looking for your tribe of serious land investors? Join thousands of your fellow land lovers in the Only Land Fans Facebook group. We're talking real deals, expert strategies, and game-changing connections you won't find anywhere else. This isn't just another real estate group, this is the community where land investors come to level up. Join us at onlylandfansgroup.com and join the conversation today. That's onlylandfansgroup.com. See you there.
That's fantastic. So,
Yeah.
if someone has a wholesale deal, for example,
Mhm.
where they, or even a double close, where they are dealing with a seller contract and a buyer contract, do
Yeah.
they literally just get those two contracts and then send it all to you and you
Yep.
guys take care of the rest?
I answered that question earlier today because people are always shocked. Yeah, that's it. Get the contract signed. Every client gets their own custom portal. We used to charge people $1,000 for it, but we don't anymore. Literally, you answer a couple of questions like, here's the address of the property, here's what type of deal it is, like my exit strategy. So we know because we're going to assign it to the right title company in that area. So novation sub two, installment method, whatever, self-purchase. All right. I need the seller's contact info because we're going to call them, of course, to start collect documents. And then there's a little box. It's drag and drop, like a 10-year-old can figure it out. And then that contract's going to come to us, right? It's going to come over. My team manager, he's going to assign it to a coordinator. And maybe it's going to go to Lee's going to handle this deal. So Lee's going to call up, hey, Mrs. Smith, again, you're working with Kendall on this piece of property over at Zero Elms or on Elm Street because it doesn't even have an address yet. Hey, great. I'm going to be your point of contact from here all the way till closing. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I got some questions for you. We're going to ask, hey, is there any structures on the property? Is there a mobile home? Is it for rent? No, great, cool. But if there was, we'll collect those documents for you. But we'll do every single thing that we can because once you hand that off to us, I want you to go get your next deal or go sell the deal. Right? Just hand it like I promise this is what we do. This is all we do. This is it. So great. We're going to ask all those questions and then you're going to get a message on the portal. Hey, all documents are received, waiting on your buyer. Now
Wow.
we're ready. Great. You get your buyer, same thing, drag and drop. And Lee's going to jump on the phone. Hey, Bob, see that you're buying this property over on Elm Street from Kendall. Hey, awesome. Looks like you're buying this in your LLC. Majestic Land Developers. Awesome. Hey, man, in order to get this thing closed, I'm going to need a copy of your LLC docs. I need to know who the authorized signer is. Are you paying cash for this? Are you funding it? Oh, your community bank? Great. I just need your loan officer's name so I can call them and get all the terms so I can make sure I get that term sheet over to the title company. And then we'll figure out who's going to do the deed of trust. Is it going to be the bank or is it going to be the title company? And hey, what date were you looking to close on this thing? Great. Okay, cool. I'm going to get with everybody. I'm going to wrap this thing up and give me just a couple days. I'll get right back to you and we'll schedule a closing. Where do you want to close? Do you want to do this at an attorney's office or you just want to do this remote? How do you want to do it? Okay, great, cool. Great. We'll handle all that for you. That's it.
Love
Yeah,
it.
it's
Love
as
it.
done for you as possible.
Love that so much because I'm thinking through the scenario and all of the script that you just shared, all of that is happening while I'm locking up another deal with the seller,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
incredible.
Dude, I don't want to
So,
do anything either. I'll tell you this funny story. I know we're probably getting close to time. My mom, before she passed away in February, last
mm,
year, she had five pieces of property kind of scattered all out. And she's, I need to get these properties put into my trust. I'm like, Mom, this is what I do. She was 78. She loved me, but honestly, she knew I did real estate, but she had no idea what we did. I'm like, Mom, I got this. I can do this. So I own the biggest transaction coordination company in the freaking country. And I'm like, I'm going to do this myself. Because 22 years, I still haven't learned this. Dude, 5 months later, my mom was like, hey, have you gotten those things done? Has it moved yet? I'm like, "Oh, no. Now, Kendall, had I leaned out my office door and said, hey, who can get five properties moved into a trust they're in Florida and Georgia? Like one of my coordinators would have had it done in 2 days. So finally, I think you've met Hannah before. Finally, when I did
yes.
say, hey, can one of you guys just do this for me? Literally, it was like 3 days. We had the deeds back. Hannah drives over to my mom's house. She's like, hi, Mrs. Morgan, can you stamp these? Great, sign it. It was done. I'm like, see, Mom, I told you we could do this. But literally, it could have been done 4 months earlier if I just let somebody else do it. That's like, I don't know how to make a better example of it than that. Literally, we should not be, any of us should not be doing this stuff because we don't like it. Not fun. We don't get an adrenaline rush out of it. Like, it's just not our gig. Let the professionals do it. People like Hannah that absolutely love this guy, they eat it up, and I can't get away from it fast enough.
I love that. I love that. So, David, we all know, being investors and being entrepreneurs, that sometimes we have a sort of a penchant to make as much money as we possibly can and
Yes.
save as much as we possibly can. And
Yes. I
so
get
I
it.
know a lot of people that look at services and things like that and say that's an expense that I don't need. But
Yeah.
something that we've talked about at great length before, and I'd love for you to bring this up again in this particular episode, is about how there's actually an opportunity for turning transaction coordination into another profit center. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can. Let's first talk about what happens if you don't have a transaction coordinator. What does that life look like? And I know a lot of people listening to this call, or they're living that life, right? Maybe they're missing deals, or they're doing title company stuff is taking up half of the day, and now they're working till 7 instead of being able to shut their laptop at 5 o'clock, or deals are falling apart and they're frustrated because they thought this was going to be a deal. The title company just said, no, we can't close this because the title company's not in the problem-solving business. The title company's not your partner. They're not your employee. They're barely your vendor half of the time. Let's say you do have to hire in a coordinator for $50,000. How much of your business is that going to save? I can tell you, I've done that. Like I have a whole building full of them. But when I ran my wholesale company, I paid Heather a lot of money. She's not cheap by any means, but my business grew exponentially, not like a little bit, by a lot. So did she 4x her money? Absolutely. Did I make 200,000 and pay her 50? Yeah. Would I pay 50,000 to make 200,000? Please, somebody in the chat tell me you're not going to do that.
All day, all day.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that would be dumb, right? So, first off, having a good transaction coordinator that knows what's going on and can solve any of the problems that we've talked about tonight so that I don't have to do it, sold. I also don't want to cut my own grass or do my own PPC. Like, I want to outsource that so I can spend my time doing the things that matter, right? The things that actually move the needle. But yeah, that's true. So, on its face, I did pay, like, I would pay for a transaction coordinator all day long. However, because I am an investor and I'm cheap, like everybody else, right? I'm like, how can I game the system? How can I figure this out? I'm always in the offsetting business, right? Hey, if I make this over here, I can do this. Hey, if I do these extra deals, this will pay my rent, like my office rent. How can I do that? And I was at a mastermind in San Antonio. And it was actually Donovan Ruffin. He's an investor,
Mm.
big investor out of Dallas. And he was speaking, and this is 6, 7 years ago. I don't even know. And he was talking about he added this fee into his contract. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm flying home and I'm still got this thing in my head. Like, because this is why you should go to masterminds, because you never know what you're going to hear. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I put a fee in my contract and use that to offset some of my marketing and my transaction coordinator? Okay. And I got back and I had a partner at the time. He's like, that won't work. I'm like, you know what? I think it will. I think it will. I'm
Give
going
it
to
a
put
shot.
it in the contract. Let's give it a shot. 595. And hundreds of times, nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. It was just in the contract that the buyer will pay an administrative transaction fee of 595 at closing. That was it. I figured out this is really good. So when we started Easy REI closings, I'm like, hey, not only are we going to be the best transaction coordinators in the country, not only are we going to close that we talked about this earlier, maybe I didn't bring it up, but the closing rate is 50% nationwide. That's a fact. That's from First American, that's from RE Simply, that's from Freedom Soft, REI Black Book, Old Republic. That's the number. It's 50% of deals close. We have clients that close between 76 and 78%. Man, if I can increase my close rate by 50%, I don't have to do it and I can get somebody else to pay for that transaction coordinator. If that's not a win, I don't know what is.
Exactly.
Yes. So we have a variety of different plans. If you're doing big volume, your average transaction fee could be $370, I think. If you just want to do one off every couple of months and you want to be on our pay at close where you don't pay anything unless it closes, it's $1,400. But either way, put a $1,497 transaction fee in your contract and it will pay for us and it costs you nothing. And all of those missed calls and all of those problems that the title company had and tracking things down and how do I get this person to sign in Okinawa, right? Not your problem anymore. My problem. I will take care of it for you. Right.
Oh, that's
So
fantastic. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, particularly investors
yeah.
that have not done a lot of like retail purchases or retail transactions with real estate, with realtors and things like that, I think it's really easy to lose sight of that. But I am a realtor, and so I know on that side of things, I have
Oh,
so many realtor
Keller Williams
colleagues.
hit me for 2,500. My
Yeah,
buddy. at Keller Williams. And I called him up. It's funny. I was selling one of my rent-to-own properties and this guy was closing. And because I was technically still the owner, it was coming to me. And I called him up. I'm like, Mark, I just got the HUD on this closing. Dude, 24.97 for an admin fee. He's, oh man, I'm sorry. You're my buddy. I'll take it off. I'm like, no, that's not why I'm calling. I'm like, do people pay this? And he starts laughing. He's like, every day. I'm like, I am not charging enough.
Yep. Yep.
That's what I took out of that conversation. Open door is like $5,000. Like we are
Yeah.
paid to death. And we are the scourge that brought this to the investing industry. Because now if you go on Investor Lift or something, purchase price, TC fee, 500, 700, 1400, whatever it is, right? So like it's every place now, buyers expect it. And I don't point it out. Like I'm not going to make a big production out of, hey, Kendall, when you buy this property, there's a $1,497 TC fee. It's just in the contract. People sign it. Hedge funds have paid it. Like the pushback is so little. And you know what? If 1 out of 5 deals, you got to comp it or split it with somebody, okay, no problem. I told you
Right.
I would pay $50,000 or $60,000 to have somebody closing these deals. Don't get hung up on
Absolutely.
this one guy won't pay the fee because what are you getting? Even if you have to pay it yourself. And we have some clients who are like, hey, I just want to, I tell, my people, well, I'm like, okay, cool, man. But they're like, we're happy to pay it because we don't like doing it. So it's just an alternative. If you want to use that, great. But I will put what we do up against anything all day long because I used to do it. And once I didn't have to do it, man, once you experience that, you do not want to go back to it. I promise. That's why I
Exactly.
stay with it. We have a 96% retention rate because nobody
Wow.
wants to go back to doing that stuff.
Yeah, it's really hard to put a price on just being able to stay in your lane and grow your business in a way that's healthy and that
It
feels
is.
good,
Yeah. Go out and
so
cut
that's
your grass
incredible.
and then have one summer where somebody cuts it for you. And then next summer, see how you feel about sparking up the Toro. It's,
Exactly.
maybe
Exactly.
you love cutting the grass, but not on a Saturday when it's 105 degrees.
Totally get it. Wow, I love that. I absolutely love that. So many great insights and so many fantastic resources. You mentioned the Warren wholesaling resource, the acquisition checklist. We're going to put all of those links in
Yeah.
the show notes. And
Yes.
also, we are collaborating with LandFans and Easy REI Closings. That if you try Easy REI Closings and their services, that LandFans will actually send you our Smooth Closer Kit that
Mhm.
is a ton of resources that will help you to manage your own team and manage different closings. And so we're going to go ahead and gift that to you as well. And so if you're interested, you can just go to starttc.com. Again, that's starttc.com. And so, David, before we really wrap up, just one more time, if someone's interested in just chatting with you guys to see how they can work with you guys, see what
Yeah.
easy REI closings can do for their business, to see if they're a good fit, can anyone just jump on a call with you?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. That link you've got, it's got a spot for them to, we've got a calendar link. So you pick a time that works for you. And based on whoever's available, what if you pick Sunday at 2 o'clock, or not Sunday, I'm sorry, Monday at 2 o'clock. I'm actually going to be out because it's my birthday, but you will get
Happy
somebody
birthday.
on my team my birthday's Sunday, but I'm going to take the weekend. But you will get somebody on my team that's very knowledgeable, that can jump on. And again, we've done 8,000 of these things. So there's no question that you're going to have that's going to shock us. Honestly, if you could stump one of our coordinators, they get very happy because it's like a new project, a new problem. But yeah, let's talk about it and let's talk about how we can help you grow your business. That's why we're here. That's People think we're in the transaction business. We're in the peace of mind business. All right. I want you to have peace of
Mm.
mind that these deals are going to close.
Yeah, that's amazing. So if you're interested in getting a call with David and his team, you can just go to starttc.com. We'll have that in the show notes. Again, that's
That's a great URL.
starttc.com. Thanks so much.
I don't know why
So
I didn't think
David,
to grab that. That's really good.
well, David, thank you so much for joining us. This has been absolutely incredible. Always a pleasure. Thank you for coming back on and sharing
Yeah.
so much knowledge and experience with us. This has been really great. Thank
Great.
you so much, everyone. Take care. Until next time, we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Hey, land fans. Tired of sellers ghosting faster than your ex? Get ready. Our friend Ajay Sharma has created the ultimate program to transform your acquisition game. Land Closers Academy brings you weekly call reviews, a powerhouse community,
and the proven system for turning leads into signed contracts. And check this out. Sign up now at olfclosers.com and you'll get my personal call review template that's crushing it with both my team and my coaching clients. This is the exact system we use to level up acquisition managers and consistently grow their closing skills. It's a game changer for managing your team. Ready to close more deals? Head to olfclosers.com and let's get you crushing it. Because the only thing getting ghosted should be your old closing rate.
Boom.